Hello everyone, a very warm welcome on this 10th of June evening, which is a very extremely hot evening. You're watching the Indian Express analysis. My name is Ankit and this is StudyIQ IS English channel. Today we are going to discuss important news and articles from our favorite, that is the Indian Express newspaper. We'll start our today's discussion by understanding how illegal migrants who have entered Assam illegally, particularly from other countries, how are being deported back to their native countries, primarily Bangladesh. Now, there are various laws in the country that gives Assam government, central government, the power to deport illegal migrants out of India. So, we'll understand what are the key legislations that has given Assam government the power. Now, this is relevant from GS paper 1 perspective, from paper 2 perspective, because any illegal migration, it determines or changes the demographic of the country. That means it alters the way population is seen. Similarly, it is also important from GS paper 2 because it is an important aspect of the governance syllabus, right? So everything that is relevant from our exams perspective, we'll discuss in great detail in our first article. In the second article, we'll be covering the need to update economic indicators like GDP formula, like in inflation indexes, CPI, WPI, index of industrial production. These indicators, they are revised frequently. Not just the weightage given to different components are changed, but also the base year are changed. So there are increasingly, and even the head of the MOSPI, he has said specifically that from next year onwards, India will revise its economic indicators. So we'll try to understand the rationale behind it, why our economic indicators need to be revised, what are the benefits, and what will be the new base year for other important economic indicators for India. Now, this syllabus or this article is relevant from GS paper 3 because it deals with important issues relating to Indian economy, that is economic growth, inflation, etc. And this is a conceptual part. So the questions that are appearing in this particular article may not come directly, but it will help you understand each and other important concepts from the economy going forward, because you are going to read newspaper for the next 1 year or so before attempting the prelims. So understanding these kind of articles becomes essential for understanding the articles that are going to come in the future, right? So relevant paper here is GS paper 3. Give me a minute. I will set this one up so that I can see the comments you're going to make, okay? Yes, I am able to see it now. Good evening, Saujanya. Good evening, Bishwajit, Nikita, Jui, Sipra, Rishi, Kanchan, Dakkan. Good evening. Now, namaste to you, Dakkan. Now, this is the second article. Moving to the third article, we'll be covering in detail what is the Vizhinjam port in Kerala, because world's largest container ship yesterday docked in this particular port. So obviously this port becomes important from our exams perspective. And last month a significant development happened. Prime Minister went there to inaugurate this port. So what are the essential features of this port? Why is this important from India's shipping sector? All of this we are going to cover, and this also forms a part of infrastructure. Therefore, the relevant paper here is GS paper 3, right? In the fourth article, we'll be covering rare earth magnets, because the production of rare earth magnets is concentrated in one country, that is China, and China is trying to control the supply chain of these magnets, leading to shortage worldwide, including in India. So we'll try to understand what are the features that makes these magnets a rare earth magnet and so much coveted by different sectors in a country. So we'll understand the applications, we'll understand what are these rare earth elements that go on to make these magnets, and what is India's position in terms of its reserves, in terms of its production, right? And in the last article, now the fourth article is relevant from science and tech perspective. So GS paper 3 also is the relevant paper here. In the last article, if the time permits, we are going to understand in great detail why is India invited to G7 every year, and this becomes important especially this time because the presidency of G7 this year is vested with Canada, and you understand the state of bilateral relations between India and Canada is not so good. So why, despite not having a great relations with Canada, why was still India invited by Canada this year to G7? So there must be something with India that is coveted by G7, right? So we'll understand in great detail first how G7 works, then what is India's role as a permanent, not a permanent, a regular invitee to G7. right? So this is essentially important from GS paper 2 perspective because it deals with how India interacts with various different kind of groupings. So whenever we talk about BRICS, whenever we talk about G20, G7, all of them are relevant from GS paper 2, right? So these are the 5 articles that we are going to cover in our today's discussion. The last article, I will try to cover it right now in this session only, and if the time does not permit, I will record this video separately and make sure that this video goes live at 9 p.m. right? So that you will be done by this article today itself, need not worry, okay? Good evening, Eshawn. Good evening, Vidyut. So what states are you all from? Please let me know in the comments so that I know people from which states are watching and which states are not, right? It gives us a fair idea. See, because India is people belonging to different states should watch it because you are essentially preparing for UPSC, which is a exam conducted by central government, right? Okay, Dhakkan Babu, you're living in Delhi. You're originally from which part of the country? Vidyut from Odisha. Others? Chandana from Andhra. Dilaroy from Meghalaya. Saujanya from Andhra. Jui from Gujarat. Ishan from Nagaland, good. Nikita from Maharashtra, Yuva from Tamil Nadu, Sipra from West Bengal, Kanpur, okay, Rishi, Maharashtra, Kanchan, which place Maharashtra? Okay, Dhakkan Babu, originally from Delhi only, good. So you must be feeling the nice weather out here today, right? Tara from Rajasthan, Bishwajit from Assam, okay. Kavya from Tamil Nadu, okay. My favorite place in India, Tamil Nadu. Okay, so the notes of this session, as usual, they will be available on the Telegram channel. This Telegram channel is called as ATS Live. So you can go to this Telegram channel, download the notes. I will make them available after this session ends, right? And if you still aren't able to find the channel, what you need to do, go search the words ATS Live in the Telegram app. On the top right hand corner, you will find the channel. Subscribe it if you still haven't. And for some reason, if you still are unable to find the channel now, just scan this QR code. It will take you directly to the channel, okay? Okay, Reshma from Tamil Nadu, good. So, let us start our today's discussion with this first article. It appeared in the front page of today's newspaper, right? It says that the Assam CM, Mr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, cited 1950 law to say that the deputy commissioners or the deputy commissioners in their district collectors in Assam, they can push foreigners back. So we'll try to understand what laws have been passed by India particularly that gives a state the power to deport any illegal migrants out of their state and out of India, right? This is what is important from our exams perspective, and this is obviously relevant from GS paper 2, that is governance part, and somewhat also remotely related to GS paper 1 that deals with population and demographics of India, right? Now first, understanding the context will give you an idea what we are talking about. Now Assam CM, he announced in a special one-day session in the Assam Assembly held yesterday that his state government has decided to bring back a 1950 Act into action, which will allow the Assam government to push back illegal migrants from Bangladesh back to Bangladesh. And this will be done by district collectors prima facie when they will be finding the foreigners without going through the state's existing system of using foreigners tribunal. And the CM of Assam has claimed that the state has been empowered to do so by the apex court of our country, that is Supreme Court. So before understanding how a new law will enable Assam to push back the illegal migrants back to Bangladesh, we need to first understand the existing system of foreigners tribunal. Then only we'll be able to understand now what is this new law that is giving the Assam government the power to deport back the illegal migrants, right? So he also said in this regard that this measure of sending the illegal migrants back to Bangladesh, they will be implemented in addition to the ongoing pushbacks of the people which has been declared as foreigners by the Foreigners Tribunal, and Foreigners Tribunal have declared 330 such foreigners as illegal migrants into Assam, giving Assam government the power to send them back to their native country, right? So the first measure, that is the existing measure which gives Assam the power, is through declaring any illegal migrants as an illegal migrant through Foreigners Tribunal. So how this is implemented, let us understand. Now you understand, to deal with matters of citizenship, this matter is given by the constitution under the union list given in the 7th schedule. So naturally, it is the responsibility of Parliament of India to pass any law that deals with which kind of people will be eligible to get a citizenship and who will be not. Accordingly, Parliament of India passed a Citizenship Act of 1955 to regulate matters relating to citizenship, and there's a specific section in Citizenship Act known as Section 6A. Now, this Section 6A of Citizenship Act 1955, it is a special provision which was added much later on, that is in 1985, to deal specifically I'm sorry. Give me a second. Okay, Kanchan Nagpur. Yes, this Section 6A of Citizenship Amendment Act, it was passed specifically in 1985, and it gave Assam government the power to deal with issue of illegal migration that has happened into Assam from countries like Bangladesh, right? Now, it was inserted into Citizenship Amendment Act after signing of Assam Accord. This was a memorandum of settlement between the government of India, leaders of Assam movement, primarily all Assam Students Union, which protested on a large scale basis on issue of illegal immigration, right? So people from Assam, I know you're watching it, Bishwajit, how do you think, what is the issue of illegal immigration into Assam? It is quite, from the outset of it, it looks quite big. So I'll want your opinion on this also. In the meantime, I'm continuing to explain. You can write your opinions in the comment section, right? So this specific act, what we understood that it was inserted quite later on in 1985 as per provisions of Assam Accord to deal with matters relating to illegal immigration, particularly in state of Assam, and people, they were coming illegally into Assam from countries like Bangladesh. So this gave the Assam government the power to declare, find, and then send back the illegal immigrants back to it. Now, the Section 6A also categorizes foreigners into three different categories based on the date of their entry into India. So, suppose any people from Bangladesh, if they have entered into India before January the 1st, 1966, they will be treated as Indian citizens from the date of their entry, and they will be deemed as Indian citizens for all purpose, which will give them special rights that are available only to citizens of India, like right to vote, right? So, it is essentially a right to vote that makes you a citizen of the country. Similarly, if a foreigner from any country, specifically Bangladesh, they have entered into India between January 1st, 1996 till March 25th, 1971, citizenship can be granted to these people, but not from the date of their entry. Rather, they will be made to wait for 10 years. They have to reside in Assam for this period, and after 10 years, they will be provided as the citizenship of India. So, after 10 years from their entry, they will be granted citizenship, particularly the people who have entered into Assam between January 1st, 1996 to March 25th, 1971. So, this basically was the cutoff date that told whether people coming into Assam will be given citizenship or not, right? So, people entering into Assam after obviously March 24th, 1971, all these people, they were declared as illegal immigrants, and it was given the power to the Assam government to detect these people and subsequently deport them back to their home country. So this classification is given in Section 6A of Citizenship Amendment Act, right? Now, to deal with matters, to find these people and deport them back, you need some kind of a judicial mechanism, right? So, suppose if the executive holds that this person is an illegal immigrant, you can't say for sure that this people is an illegal immigrant. You need to give them certain kind of judicial recourse so that they can contest this executive decision in some kind of court of law, right? So, for that specifically, foreigner tribunals were created, and these were established as per the provisions of Foreigners Tribunal Order 1964, passed specifically under the Section 3 of Foreigners Act 1946. Now, this enables the local authority to refer suspected foreigners to these tribunal, right? Silent mood. Okay, namaste. Kranti Bablu, good evening from Telangana. Okay, Shushmita, good evening. Shushmita, which state are you from? I was asking all the others their home state and when they are living. Okay, so this was the Foreigners Tribunal that was set up specifically so that local authorities, after finding these foreigners, they can refer their cases to the tribunals so that this tribunal certifies the decision of the executive authority. Now, although Ministry of Home Affairs has empowered all the district magistrates living in all the states and union territories in India to set up respective tribunals for foreigner tribunals. But currently these foreigner tribunals, they are operative exclusively in only one state in India, that is in Assam, right? So what is the composition of these foreigner tribunals? Now each of these foreigner tribunals, they are led by a member from the judiciary, or they can come from advocacy, civil services, or people who have some kind of judicial expertise. And judges and advocates, they have been appointed as members of these foreigners tribunal, right? So it is the responsibility of foreigners tribunal to find out illegal immigrant and certify that X person who has been labeled as illegal immigrant is indeed an illegal immigrant. Now, who are referred to foreigner tribunal? There are two cases in which people are referred in the foreigner tribunal. First, a reference needs to be made by border police. This is a special police force operative in Assam. And also the cases of doubtful voters who can be referred to this foreigner tribunal by Election Commission of India. So these two agencies, that is Border Police of Assam and Election Commission of India, has the power to recommend, to say that, see, this person has not been able to certify his citizenship into India, so please take his case and declare him as an illegal immigrant. So these kind of cases are sent for the consideration of foreigner tribunal. Now, how the foreigner tribunal functions? Now, basically, foreigner tribunals have a power of civil court. So, what is a power of civil court? For foreign tribunals can summon anyone, call them and ask them, and will be required to give them the submissions to foreign tribunal. And a tribunal is required to serve a notice in English or in the official language of the state to the person who has been alleged as the foreigner within 10 days after receiving the references from the authority concerns, that is from border police and ECI. If they give references to the foreigner tribunal within 10 days, this tribunal will issue a notice in English or in the official language of state to the person who has been alleged as a foreigner in Assam. And when this case will be referred, the foreigner tribunals must dispose of these cases within 60 days. Now, the burden of proof in this regard is not on the state authorities. Rather, it is on the accused to prove that he is indeed a citizen of India, not a foreigner, as alleged by the authorities. And if the person fails to provide any proof of citizenship, then foreigner tribunal will send him to a detention center where he will be kept until he is deported back to his home country, right? So this is the process through which the foreigner tribunals function. Now, what about the appeal against the decision of foreigner tribunal? First, if the accused has been declared as an illegal immigrant, then that accused can file a review application with the tribunal within 30 days of the original decision, and then the foreigner tribunal will decide on the case based on merits. And if the foreigner tribunal still does not give the decision in his favor, then that person can approach it in the High Court and subsequently in the apex court on our country. So this is the judicial recourse available to any person who has been declared as an illegal immigrant by foreigners tribunal, right? Okay, Shushmita from West Bengal, understood. Now, Assam Chief Minister, in our context, he was talking about a new law, right? He was talking about immigration expulsion from Assam Act 1950, which came into force from March the 1st, 1950. Now, this law says that if any person who is a resident of a place outside India and has entered Assam, and the central government, in their opinion, feel that the stay of such person in Assam is detrimental to the interest of general public in India, or to any people in Assam, or even to any scheduled tribe in Assam, then the central government may direct the local authorities to remove himself or themselves from India or Assam within such period of time. And in this regard, the central government can also delegate its power to any officer of the central government or the Assam government. So, the Chief Minister of Assam was saying that this law has given the power to the state government of Assam to deport foreigners back, in addition to the powers given under the Foreigners Tribunal, right? Now, Supreme Court recently reviewed this Section 6 of the Citizenship Amendment Act in 2024, and it said that the provisions of illegal immigrants expulsion from Assam Act shall also be read into Section 6A, and it shall be effectively employed for purpose of identification of illegal immigrants. So, according to Assam government, it is interpreting this particular decision of Supreme Court judgment, saying that if the district collector says that the prima facie any person is a foreigner, then that person needs to be evicted from state of Assam, which means, according to Assam government, expelling foreigners, the government does not have to go to foreigner tribunal compulsory. So, Assam government feels that there are two avenues. First is through foreigner tribunal, another is through district collector. Both of them can declare a person as a illegal immigrant and you can send them back, right? So, this was this article in great detail. If you have any doubt, now is the right time to ask. And if you have understood this article, let's see how many of you are able to answer this. Bangladeshi official denies large-scale immigration, right? Calling the numbers exaggerated. Often locals take their matters in their own lands. Often there is a new that Bangladesh occupied land. Okay. Good evening, Jai Shri Ram. आंसर दो, जल्दी दो, टाइम नहीं है. C. All of you are responding C. Let's see what is the right answer. Foreigner tribunals are quasi-judicial bodies established under Citizenship Act 1955 to determine the nationality status of individuals in Assam. Correct. The orders of foreigner tribunals are final and cannot be challenged in any court of law. This is incorrect. I told you, you can first challenge this order in High Court, then subsequently you can even go to Supreme Court. And the burden of proof here lies on the individual to establish their Indian citizenship before the tribunal. This is also correct. Unlike the most common judicial recourse, that the one who makes the accusation, they have to serve the burden of proof. Here the burden of proof lies on the accused himself, right? So third and first is correct, second is not, and option C is the right answer. So all of you are right. Dhakkan Babu, Jui, Sarang, Ishan, Shushmita, Reshma, Bishwajit, Rishi, Kanchan, Jai Shri Ram, Chandana, Vidyut, all of you are right. Now moving to this next article, this has appeared in the op-ed section of the Indian Express newspaper, in the editorial section, that is on page 10, and it says a calibrating afresh. What it is actually talking about, that it is saying that the government, it periodically revises the base year for key economic indicators like consumer price index, index of industrial production, and even the formulas for GDP. And these revisions are meant to reflect the changing profile of consumption and production in any country, and subsequently to incorporate newer data sources, right? So what is this talking about? We'll understand in great detail, because these kind of articles helps you develop concepts, right? Now first, the term base year. What is a base year? Now suppose if I say my weight is 80 kilograms. So how would you know, have I lost weight or have I gained weight? For that you need another information. For that you need to know what was my weight a year back. So if I say year back my weight was 90 kilograms, so you can understand now I have lost weight. But what if I tell you that a year back my weight was 70 kilograms? So you'll know I have gained weight, right? So for that you need a base year, so that you can understand whether economic indicators, inflation, GDP has grown or they have reduced, right? So for that we need a base year, which acts as a reference year against which economic data like GDP, inflation, index numbers, they are compared and measured over time. So you understood the concept, right? That you need a reference point so that you can compare what is the current state. Has it increased or has it decreased? Therefore, base rate or base year, it acts as a benchmark to calculate real growth or prices change by eliminating the impacts of inflation, right? So this is why we need base year. Now the background, why we are discussing changes in base year. For instance, in 2015, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, it released what is known as a new series for calculation of GDP or national income accounting, and it changed the base year, which earlier was 2004-5, and it was changed to 2011-12. Similarly, base year for CPI was also changed from 2010 to 2012, whereas base year for IIP was also changed in May 2017. Earlier it was 2004-5, now it became 2011-12. So all the indicators, periodically we see changes in the computation formula, changes in the base year, and continuing with this practice, the next year India will likely to witness release of new data series for several of these indicators, right? So this is why we need to change them periodically. Why are we need to changing it periodically? I will discuss in great detail. Now, what is expected to happen that the new GDP series which will come next year, it will have 22-23 as the base year and it will be released next year onwards. Similarly, the new IIP series will also have the same base year 2022 and 23, whereas the new Consumer Price Index series which has the base year 2012 right now, the next base year will be 2024 and it will be released from first quarter of 2026, right? So this is expected to happen from next year. Now comes the big question, how the computation formula will be changed. For instance, in computation of GDP estimate, we utilize how the money is being spent in the expenditure method, right? So earlier what people used to do, they used to transfer money through cash or they used to write checks and demand drafts. But how many people now rely on demand drafts and cash? Not many, right? People are growing to use, are getting to use more and more digital payments and net banking system, right? So for that, the use of GST transaction, UPI transaction will also be recorded by the government. Similarly, in the new Consumer Price Index series, the Ministry, that is Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, it will source newer data of air tickets and railway tickets using what the tickets are charged on online platforms, right? So in 2004 and 2005, people used to go to railway stations, stood in the line and book tickets themselves. Now people rely on sites like IRCTC to book the tickets. So automatically the price shown in IRCTC will be the price for railway tickets that will be calculated for Consumer Price Index, right? Similarly, the government has now decided to draw latest round of household consumption expenditure survey so as to figure out what kind of items are people buying. Earlier, people used to rely too much on wheat and rice to meet their dietary requirements, but now people are coming to know that solely relying on these kind of foods is not enough. You also need to eat green vegetables. You also need to eat protein-rich food like milk, paneer, non-vegetarian food, etc. Right? So consumption pattern in terms of food, consumption pattern in terms of clothes, everything is changing, right? So we all need to incorporate all these into our in our GDP calculations, in our inflation calculations, so that we assume that what is the price point people are paying, what are the products people are buying. So for that we revise the formula used to compute CPI, we revise the base year also, right? Yes, UNSNA is followed in India. They take reference from it, all the countries take reference from it and change the formula accordingly to suit our own needs, right? Now the big question is, why do you need revision? First, we need to take revision so as to reflect changes in our consumption patterns. For example, in 2010, how did people get their information? People used to rely more on newspapers. I'm not talking about UPSC people, I'm talking about general people, right? So generally now people are less relying on newspapers because they have mobile phones and smartphones in their own hand. So people used to spend more on newspapers to get their information. Now they are spending more on internet data. Similarly, people were buying food grains in larger number, but now since government is providing food grains for free to large amount of people, people are spending rather on packed foods like Maggi and protein whey powders, right? Similarly, people used kerosene in 2010s to light up their gas stoves, but now people are relying more on LPG because government is providing LPG connections under PM Ujjwala Yojana. People were relying more on bicycles for delivery and transportation. Now they are relying more on e-two-wheelers. So people are changing their consumption patterns. So our assumption of CPI should also reflect these changes in consumption pattern. Because if we still rely on old consumption basket, it will not give us an exact spending pattern, and therefore our GDP estimates, our inflation estimates will not be quite precise, right? So first need for revision periodically is to reflect changes in consumption pattern. And how did we get this data in consumption pattern? From household consumption expenditure survey that was conducted by government, right? Now, another factor for revision frequently is to account for technological advancements, right? Now, earlier in 2010s, I don't know how many of you are older than 20 or 25, but in 2010s, whenever you were required to listen to music or whenever you're required to watch a movie, you need to rent out CDs and DVDs, or you need to even buy those CDs and DVDs. But how do you listen to music and watch movies these days? You stream it on Netflix, Amazon Prime, right? So that is why, similar to that, earlier you used to call to the restaurants, go to the restaurants yourself and take the food. Now you can open Swiggy and Zomato and ask for food deliveries, right? Similarly, did electric vehicles existed back in 2010s? Very small amount of numbers. Now they are a large part of our consumption cycle. So this all were not accounted in the base that was created in 2012. Now all these technologies, they are quite much popular in our country. People are spending more amount on money on online streaming services. So we need to take into account the cost of these services, right? So that is why this helps us to make changes in account preferences. Earlier, people used to rely more on printers in their houses, right? Almost every major household had a small printer with them. But now, this is a digitization age where even a PDF would work, right? So now, people are not buying printers. So all of these technological changes needs to be incorporated. Also, we need to adjust inflation and price changes. You understand the price of milk back in 2010 in Delhi for a toned milk was 30 rupees. Now it is about 56-57 rupees for Mother Dairy, right? Now, if you compare inflation from 2012, you'll see that inflation is 2 times right now. But is it the correct picture? No. Price of milk increase 1 or 2 rupees every year, right? So this is not an exact taking such a back base here does not give you a right idea of what will be the inflation. Similarly, we need to improve our accuracy and also improve our policy making. Why? Because CPI, the figures of CPI is used by RBI to determine its monetary policy, right? But household consumption basket has changed dramatically over the years. As I told you, people are changing the way they spend money. Earlier, people used to buy food grains. Now they are buying protein rich items. They are buying packed food. People were relying earlier on newspapers. Now they are relying on internet data. Similarly, cereals, they accounted for 10% of consumption basket in rural areas. Now it has declined to just 5%. Similarly, it has declined in urban areas. So we need to change CPI accordingly so that RBI gets the true picture of inflation and set its monetary policy accordingly, right? So this is the reason why we take revision quite frequently. Also, one of the key aspects of GDP is that it helps compare our GDP growth with other countries. You must have understood, right? India is the 4th largest economy right now as per the nominal GDP method, right? So to get an accurate picture of where our economy stands, we need to compare it with other countries. When other countries are changing their base cycle, you also need to change your base cycle so that you get a true picture, right? So when IMF and World Bank, it uses national accounts of different countries to compare the GDP figures, and if India continues with old base and other countries, they have revised their base, so how will you be getting a true picture of India's GDP growth? No, right? So also for global comparability, it is essential that we keep on revising GDP. Understood? Any doubt in this concept? Otherwise, I'll move forward. Now, how is GDP calculated? What are various ways to calculate GDP? What is the difference between income method, expenditure method and gross value added method? We discuss in great detail in our economy batches, which goes live in Pratigya. Now, Pratigya batches, for the evening batch in 2026, we are taking admissions right now, and this batch is expected to start from today itself, from the evening, right? Now, to take admissions in this batch, what you need to do, go to our website and get this for 30,999, but you will get this only when you apply the code ATS Live. How to apply the code? Let me give you a very simple demonstration so that you know how to take admissions. Okay, go to our StudyIQ website. You will be needing to create an account here first. Once you're done with creating an account, click on Explore Courses. When you click on Explore Courses, there's a tile on the up side which shows what kind of a language you want to take your education in. Suppose if you're not comfortable in Hindi, click on UPSC CSE English, and on the left tile here, it is the Foundation 2026 Pratigya Evening Batch. Now, right now it says the course fees is 37,999, but to get admissions on a discounted amount even less than 37,999, click on Buy Now. Once you click on Buy Now, on the right there is an option to add promo code. Click here and write ATS Live. Once you're done writing ATS Live, click on apply and you'll realize that a discount of 7,000 rupees is now applicable and the diamond course is now available at 30,999. Platinum is at 27,500 and gold is at 16,999. Best part or best aspect, if you will ask my recommendation, I'll tell you, opt for diamond batches. And why am I saying opt for diamond batches? Because it provides you many benefits which the other batches don't. That is, all the benefits of StudyIQ IAS platform are available in diamond, whereas some, as you can see from the crosses here, are not available in both gold and platinum. So it is up to you to take admissions in what kind of a batches you want. But if you ask my recommendation, I'll say opt for diamond batches, and please do not forget to write the code ATS Live because it will get you 7,000 rupees discount, which is a large amount of money. Okay. Any doubt with the revision in national income indicators, or should I move forward? I'm asking you again and again. इतना कोई पूछता नहीं है. No doubt. Okay. Now let's move to this third article of the day. This appeared in page 13 and it says MSC Irina, which is world's largest container ship, it has docked at Kerala's Vizhinjam port, right? Now, why is Kerala's Vizhinjam port in news? In spite of this particular fact. Now, last month, if you remember, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he commissioned this port, and this is India's transshipment port. Now, this is expected to emerge as a key hub in Asia-Europe shipping route, and this project is executed by Adani Ports and SEZ Private Limited on a PPP model that is known as DBFOT model. I will tell you more on this model in our today's discussion only. Now, the trial run of this port began last year in July, and the commercial operation followed few months later on. So we are discussing because world's largest container ship by capacity, MSC Irina, has actually docked at Vizhinjam International Port. So first we'll try to understand Vizhinjam International Port, and then you will be able to understand why such a big container ship has docked in this port. There must be some advantage of this port, right? I'll tell you, need not worry. Now this port, in terms of ownership, it is owned by Government of Kerala. Now in India, there are the categories of port are of two types. First is a major port and another one are non-major port. Now the benefits of major port is that these are regulated, owned and operated by central government, whereas other ports, all non-major ports, these are regulated or operated by state governments or state port authorities. So from that logic, you can say this is, in terms of its category, not a major port. Okay. Now this port was designed primarily to cater to container transshipment beside acting as a multi-purpose and break bulk cargo port. Now what is a transshipment? Now suppose there are smaller ports or from land depots, you are required to transport goods to a big port. So you can transport goods from a smaller port using a smaller ship, or you can transport goods inland using roadways or railways, right? So you deliver all these cargoes into a big port like the Vizhinjam port, and from that big port, wherever which has the capacity to dock a big ship like the one we are talking about today, MSC Irina, that port will act as a transshipment port. So it is basically a transit hub where cargo may come from smaller ports or from inland ports, and there it can be transported to final destination, which can be to other continents, right? So smaller parcels of cargo are loaded here on a bigger ship, which is able to travel to distant ports. So basically transshipment ports are bigger ports that have the ability to cater to large shipping vessels, which the smaller ports can't, right? Now, another fact about this Vizhinjam port is that it has been developed using a landlord port model with public-private partnership component, and the basis on which this PPP works is known as design, build, finance, operate, transfer basis. So here the landlord is the state government, which is the port authority. It acts as the regulatory body of this port, whereas design, building, finance, operation is vested with a private entity. So Adani Port Authority and SEZ Limited, it is the operating authority of this port, whereas the ownership and regulation of this port is vested with whom? Vested with Government of Kerala, right? So after they are done with operation of the port, eventually after a lot of years, this private company will shift the control of this port to the port authority of state government, right? Now let us understand why this port was constructed in Vizhinjam or not in some other part of the country? There must be some reason to it, right? There are many reasons, actually 3 of these reasons. First is the strategic location of this port. Now, this port is located in southwestern part of India, in the southwestern coast, in the Kerala region, right? Now, very near to Kerala region, basically 10 nautical miles in this region, you'll see there is a major shipping route which delivers cargo from European ports via Suez Canal and into the Southeast Asian countries like Singapore, Indonesia, etc. So, this major shipping port, the Vizhinjam port, is located quite near to this major shipping route. So, this is the strategic location of the Kerala coast, particularly Vizhinjam port, that has let the state government construct a big port here because it is very close to the global shipping route. Similarly, this acts as a transshipment hub. Now, before this Vizhinjam port, India did not have such a big port that was able to cater to ships like the MSC Irina. So, our transshipment basis or our transshipment work, we used to rely on other ports like Colombo, or we used to rely on other ports like Singapore. So, it increased our dependence on foreign ports. Now, as a port is located in strategic location and has some natural advantage also, which we are going to talk about, this has let this route emerge as a transshipment hub. Now, the third aspect why this port was constructed in Vizhinjam is the natural advantage to it. The first natural advantage is the location of this port. It is located inside the harbor. So, when you understand this port is located inside the harbor, automatically it will be protected from any tsunami waves if they attack this port. God forbid if that happens, but still this port will be protected from it. Also, as it is located inside the harbor, the amount of siltation that is deposited or the amount of siltation that is eroded, that also reduced significantly because the water pressure is not as high as it would have been in this part of the sea, right? So, this is one natural advantage, that it is located inland, therefore it is protected from any kind of natural disasters, more or so if it was located on outside. Another natural advantage is that it has a natural depth of 18 meters. And why do you need ports with big natural depths? Is because of a fact known as draft of the ship. Now, big ships like these, a significant portion of these ships are located underwater and these are called as draft of the ship. So, heavier the ship, the bigger the ship is, the large will be the draft which is located below the waterline, right? So, this is basically the vertical distance between waterline and the lowest part of the hull of the ship, which also includes propellers and rudders. And essentially, this is how the deep a ship is submerged into water. And this measurement is quite crucial for navigation, for safety and loading operations. So, naturally, you understand, the larger is the draft, the more heavier the ship is. And when the natural depth of this port is 18 meters, you can accommodate bigger ships with heavier cargo into it without the need for conducting dredging, without the need for conducting desiltation. So, therefore, the operation cost of this port is also less because of the natural advantage of deep depth, right? So, these are the 3 advantages that makes Vizhinjam an ideal location for transshipment hub because of its location quite close to the global shipping route. It has acted as a transshipment hub, reducing our dependence on foreign ports, and with a natural advantage of a 18-meter depth as well as location inside this harbor, it has made this port immune from natural disasters and has let this port host bigger ships with larger draft or draught, right? Any doubt in Vizhinjam port? Now, let's see how many of you are able to solve this particular question. Now, Vizhinjam port is being developed as India's first mega transshipment container terminal with natural depth to accommodate large container ships. Correct, straightforward one, right? It is located on the eastern coast of India, close to major international shipping routes between Europe to Asia. Now, second part of this statement is correct, but it is located on eastern port? No, it is located on western port. As the Major Port Authorities Act 2021, Vizhinjam is classified as one of India's major port. This is again incorrect. I told you, major ports in India are the ones that are owned and operated by central government, especially through shipping Corporation of India. As this is owned by Kerala government and operated by a private company, similarly, just because of its ownership, it is not a major port. So, second and third are incorrect, only first is right. So, option A is the right answer. All of you have gotten it right. Reshma, Shushmita, Rishi, Sarang, Chandana, Vidyut, Dhakkan, Sipra, Tara, all of you right. Well, it is also in use, but you understand port development takes a lot of years. So, one or two container terminals are open, another terminals are being constructed, right? So, you don't wait for the whole ports to be constructed. These port projects are being constructed in phases, right? So, the technical term is still being developed. Understood now, Tara? Now let us talk about next article which appeared on page 15th of the Indian Express newspaper, and there are two articles relating to one fact. First, it says that before the China has curbed the export of rare earth magnets, India's permanent magnet imports nearly doubled in 2025. Whereas a no impact on rare earth magnet shortage so far has been on Maruti Suzuki, which is India's biggest automobile company, right? So these two articles are talking about one thing, that is rare earth magnet and China's reluctance to export these to other countries, right? Now, the context of our today's discussion, India's imports of permanent magnets, many of them using the rare earth elements, they have nearly doubled in last 1 year, and the surge in imports with 93% of them coming from China, it preceded a recent development in China that it has imposed certain export restrictions on rare earth magnets. Now, this export restrictions had disrupted production lines globally, and I will let you know why. Now, in India, with just 2-3 weeks of RE magnet supply remaining, that is rare earth element magnet supply remaining, industry executives, they are expected to travel to China in a bid to pursue China to reduce the shortage and allow for exports of these magnets, right? Now, the big question in our today's discussion is, what are rare earth magnets? Rare earth magnets are basically permanent magnets made from rare earth elements, and these are known for their exceptional magnetic strength, high energy density, and superior performances as compared to traditional magnets, right? Now, these magnets, they are widely used in various industries. What kind of industries? I will tell you in the next slide. And because of their ability to generate strong magnetic field in compact sizes, so very good industrial tools, motors, etc., they are using rare earth magnets, right? Now, the big part of these rare earth magnets, that their global supply is currently dominated by China, which accounts for 90% of processing of rare earth elements used to make these magnets. Obviously, it is China's prerogative to control the global supply chain. Now, rare earth magnets basically are of many types. The most popular ones are two, that is neodymium and samarium cobalt. Now, these are two most common types of rare earth magnets, and neomagnets, that is neodymium magnets, are composed primarily of neodymium, boron, iron, and whereas samarium cobalt is composed of both samarium and cobalt, right? Now, both these materials, they come in different grades, strengths, and have different magnetic and physical properties. Not so much important from our exams perspective. What you need to understand, both of these type of magnets, they are extremely strong, but there are certain drawbacks also. They are brittle in nature and vulnerable to corrosion. So, therefore, manufacturers, they use nickel plating as a material to protect themselves from oxidation, which leads to corrosion, right? Now, the big part is they are used in these kind of applications. For example, they are used in electric motors, which are used now to power EVs and hybrid vehicles, because these motors require high efficiency, which is provided by these magnets. Similarly, wind turbines and their generators are using these magnets. Hard disk drive for use in storage or data storage, etc. Audio speakers that you might have in your home, they are using these rare earth magnets. Medical devices like magnetic resonance MRI machines, defense purposes for precision guided missiles, aircrafts, electronic warfare systems, all of them are using rare earth elements. You understand, if China disrupts the supply of these elements, all of these products which are widely used in many economies, they will suffer disruption in their production. Understood? Virender Singh sir, thank you sir for your such gracious comment, sir. I'm very happy, sir. Now, what are rare earth elements? we talked about rare earth magnets, right? Rare earth magnets, they use what kind of material? They use rare earth elements. So what are rare earth elements? Rare earth elements in the periodic table, there are 17 elements that are called as rare earth elements. Now there are 15 lanthanides and other elements including scandium and yttrium. These 17 are categorized as rare earth elements. Now sometimes they are also referred to as rare earth oxides because they are typically available in nature in form of oxide components. These materials or these elements, they are not individually, right? Rather they appear in oxides, and you need to refine and process these oxides so that you can obtain these 17 elements out of it, right? Now the misnomer of the word rare earth, these are actually not rare in the earth's crust. Why are they rare? Because they occur, as I said already to you, they occur in oxides, and you need significant chemical processes to refine them. Only after that it makes it a valuable affair. Now refining includes use of lot of chemicals, it includes use of lot of expertise. So that is why not every country or not every company have the ability to refine these elements properly. So therefore this refinement of these rare earth elements, which are available in most of the countries, the refinement part is concentrated only in China. And these metals, they have similar properties, and that is why they are often found together clumped in geologic deposits. And to obtain elements out of these geologic objectives, you need to refine them, and this refinement is a technically very expert process, and only a handful of countries like China have a control over it. So China controls 80% of global earth refining capacity, giving it a significant leverage in the global supply chain. So basically China can ask whatever cost it wants, China can demand whatever conditions, and other countries will be forced to comply with Chinese condition if they have to import these rare earth elements from China. That is why we see China is misbehaving rather by controlling its geological supply chain. Now let us understand what are the reserves of these elements in India. Now according to US Geological Survey, which is the latest data of January 2025, it held that India is world's third largest reserves of rare earth element, only behind China and Brazil. However, when it comes to production of these rare earth elements after refining, India lags quite behind. India is not the world's third but fifth largest when it comes to refining, well behind China, Myanmar, US, Australia, Nigeria and Thailand, right? So India is ranked, not fifth, rather seventh in this regard in terms of refinement and production of rare earth element. That is why India depends a lot on Chinese imports. Now in India, a PSU known as IREL Limited, under the Department of Atomic Energy, it refines rare earth oxides from heavy metal ores containing REs like cerium, lanthanum, neodymium and parasodium. However, the production of these rare earth elements in India is quite limited. Moreover, the processing of refined oxides into alloys and subsequently making magnets into it is a very technical and non-existent in India. So these kind of capabilities are located only in one country, that is China. That is why China is not just able to refine them but also make alloys of these components and eventually make magnets out of it, right? So that is why the production of these are concentrated and China is acting strangely. Understood this? Any doubts, please? Now there was a very similar question in UPSC this year, 2025. It talked about critical minerals. Please understand, critical minerals and rare earth elements are different things. Some rare earth elements can be critical minerals. Rare earth elements, the 17 of them, they are same all worldwide, but critical minerals, they change with respect to countries' prerogatives. Like for India, there are 30 critical minerals. For US, for China, some other elements might be critical element, but rare earth elements, they are same everywhere. Only 17 of elements in our periodic table, only those are called as rare earth elements. Now, most of you are answering option A. Rare earth elements are essential for manufacture of high-strength permanent magnets used in EVs, wind turbines, smartphones. Correct. China is largest producer and export of rare earth elements globally. Correct. India has the largest reserves of rare earth elements in the world but lacks refining and processing capability. This is incorrect. Although India lacks processing and refining capability, but India has third largest reserve, not the largest reserve. So, third is incorrect. First and two are right. Option A is the right answer. Okay. Now, it is 4:56 in my watch. This article will take roughly 20 minutes. So what I'll do, this is important, I'll record a separate video and get it uploaded at 9 p.m. Okay. So please do not forget to watch this video at 9 p.m. And if you want to download the notes, you can go to my Telegram channel. Obviously, you know it. It is called as ATS Live. So this is all from my side. We'll meet each other again tomorrow at 4 in the live. Or if you want to watch the recorded video, this video will go live today itself at 9 p.m. Okay. So please have a very good evening, a pleasant good night. And I will attach the mains question also with it. So please make sure to write it because mains is coming in few months and you need to be prepared. So please have a very good day. Goodbye from my side. And thank you, Viren sir. It made my day.